What's good, Potterheads? Welcome back to the Half-Blood YouTuber channel. It is time to be extraordinary. Now today I'm going to be trying a new series on the channel, which hopefully I can remain somewhat consistent. My goal for this would be to release a new video of this series every Tuesday, hence the name Tier Ranking Tuesday, because in this series, I'm gonna go through a bunch of different tier rankings of different topics and categories and characters and places and all the type of stuff in Harry Potter. And I'll be sharing my opinions on them, and I'll be, well, ranking them, obviously. So give me a second to gather my thoughts. Alright guys, so just for one quick second, allow me to explain what's going to be happening in this series. So, if you are not already familiar with the idea of a tier ranking video, you can tell by the title at top that we are going to be ranking the Harry Potter books to start off. I thought that would be fitting as a first episode. So the 5 tiers I have here are legendary. Those are like the best of the best. My favorite book is obviously gonna go up there, and possibly also some other books that had some really cool scenery I maybe had liked, or some interesting parts of the lore that I liked, but yeah. Then we have acceptable, which is the stuff that's like, it's good, but it's not good enough. Basically. Then we have terrible, yes, but great. Obviously, I'm not talking about Voldemort here, which is what the quote was originally talking about, but I am talking about books that were terrible. Well, basically what it says here, terrible, yes, but great, meaning that it was an awful book, I hated it, but it had some really important parts of the story that kind of saved the book, sort of, I guess you could call it that. Then we have absolute dog poop, which are the books that I really hate. And then at the bottom, actually no, because we have this one, I might not be using this one so much. We'll see about that. I actually might take that out for the next, for the rest of the series, possibly. I don't think that's needed. But anyways, then we have For the Love of the Series, which are the books that are so absolutely terrible, that maybe had really bad writing, or just maybe had bad stories, or had a bunch of plot conveniences, foreshadowing for what's to come in the rest of the video. And I really only just read those books because of how much I love the series, and because the series is not complete without reading those books, essentially. So I'm going to try and go somewhat in order here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to go down the line. Okay, Sorcerer's Stone. How do I think about this? You know what, before I go into that, I'm just going to mention something real quick. If you scroll down long enough on the channel, you'll see that there is another video which is doing exactly what I'm doing here, tier ranking the Harry Potter books. However, I'm remaking it this time, number one, because back then I didn't have an external mic like I do now. I was using the integrated microphone on my PC, and therefore the audio was, number one, terrible, and second of all, pretty much like 10 minutes before I started recording that video, I had watched the Murphy Napier video where she was ranking the Harry Potter books, and basically my mind was just completely clouded by her opinions, and I was trying my hardest not to repeat her opinions word for word, because I have like really good memorization skills. So yeah, that's why I'm remaking this. You know what, actually no, I'm not gonna go in order. I'm just gonna do whichever opinion comes to mind. Okay, so first of all, that's Chamber of Secrets. This is Prisoner of Azkaban, and this one is gonna go into Legendary. Yeah, that's Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, let me give a little bit of explanation for this one. So, number one, this is a bit of an unpopular opinion because I am fairly sure last time I checked that the Prisoner of Azkaban, both book and movie, did the least, made the least amount of money in terms of sales throughout the entire series. And I am the exact opposite of that. This is my favorite book because it does not involve a plot directly relating to Voldemort's plan to resurrect himself and to come back, which is, I'm just assuming, why a lot of people maybe don't like that book as much. But the other reason why I really love it, truly, especially, is because it focuses on the Marauders and introducing the Marauders, which, fun fact about myself and my Harry Potter opinions, that is, the Marauders era is my favorite era, of the wizarding world that we get in the Harry Potter series. Yes, even more than the Golden Trio. I don't really like the Golden Trio. I mean, I like them because they're the main characters, but they're not really my favorite characters because there's a lot of bickering going on, and the whole thing just feels like it's being held together by a piece of... the whole relationship just feels like it's being held together by, like, a piece of string for, like, most of the series until it all kind of wraps up in, like, the last two books, sort of. So, yeah. And I love the Marauders era because, number one, it contains my top two favorite characters, Sirius Black and Severus Snape. And also, if you were... actually, never mind, I'm going to say that for Sorcerer's Stone. Basically, what I'm just going to say here is that there is a common misconception that Slytherins are bad, Gryffindors are good, and that's how it's pretty much always been. But that's not the case, as we see in the Marauders era, because at that point, it is actually the Gryffindors bullying the Slytherin, Severus Snape, as opposed to the Slytherins bullying the Gryffindors, which I really like about that, because that stereotype is probably my least favorite thing about probably all of Harry Potter, just because it's so unnecessary to put it like that, and it's also just so cruel to just, like, shut down Slytherins. Like, maybe somebody gets sorted into Slytherin on, not Pottermore, WizardingWorld.com, and then they get Slytherin, and they're like, oh crap, now I have to be one of the bad guys. No, you don't. Because there is no such thing as a bad guy or a good guy. That's just not how it works. In terms of houses, obviously, there are good guys and bad guys in the series. But yeah, so Prisoner of Azkaban is going to go into Legendary. I really hope the frames didn't lag a bunch when I was going like this, because that tends to happen a lot. Okay. Now, let's go with Sorcerer's Stone. And Sorcerer's Stone, I'm going to put into acceptable, and this is actually a pretty good transition right here between opinions, because the reason I put it into acceptable, not exceptional, why do I keep saying that, acceptable, is because obviously it sets the stage for the series. It actually kind of really elegantly and beautifully introduces characters, whether it be students or teachers or villains or anybody of that sort. And I really love it for that. But, as I said before, with the Prisoner of Azkaban, there is that giant stigma that Slytherins are bad and Gryffindors are good, and you know how you get that? If you decide to read Sorcerer's Stone and then stop reading after that, because you thought, oh, this isn't really an interesting story. But now you have the impression, thanks to Ronald Weasley, thank you very much, Ron, that all Slytherins are bad and all Gryffindors are good, which I'm going to say again is not the case, okay? Even when he says, Ron says, there's not a wizard that went bad that wasn't in Slytherin, that's not even true. How about Peter Pettigrew? How about, Quirrell? Peter was in Gryffindor. Quirrell was in Ravenclaw, and he hosted Lord Voldemort for an entire book in the back of his head. So yeah, you're dead wrong. But other than that, it was just like really a good book. It was nice to have everybody introduced into such. Next, let's go for yeah, I'm gonna go for Order of the Phoenix. No, why am I putting in there? It's not legendary. I'm gonna say acceptable as well over there. So let's get into this. First off, Order of the Phoenix contains what I think to be the true villain in the series. Well, not necessarily. Dolores Umbridge. Like after reading Order of the Phoenix for the first couple of times, I slowly began to realize that Umbridge makes a more effective villain than Voldemort does, and after a while, I just kind of like lost interest in Voldemort as a villain, because essentially he's basically just Grindelwald, just noseless, because they both have the notion that they want to get rid of mudbloods because they are not real wizards, so to speak. So yeah, and I mean, I appreciate him as a character. His lore and his background and his backstory are fantastic. But I mean, I really don't connect with him that much as a villain. Also, that this whole thing with Harry not really being able to connect with his school, with his classmates, because everybody thinks he's a liar. And just all of that like description and illustration that we see throughout the book of Harry just feeling alone and also very much depressed because nobody believes him, and he knows for a fact that he's telling the truth, and he's feeling this way just because Fudge is being kind of a jerk, because he's paranoid. But I just really love like how it all comes together, you know? And I also love that Sirius Black is like possibly the only person that he actually gets to communicate with who actually knows what he's going through. But on the same part, I really don't like Sirius Black's character in the books all that much. But that is for a different video. Actually, I'm not lying. I do already have like talking points for another video where I'm discussing that exact topic. So yeah. But also, the big issue I have with this, it's a beautiful book. It's got beautiful character development in it. The huge problem I have with it, though, is that the climax just really botches the whole story, because it's like, you know, everybody's just going off fighting in their own places. Everybody's just like out doing their own thing. Nobody's sticking together, and everything just is kind of getting really weird. Like that whole thing with the Death Eater getting a baby head because his head fell into this time tank, I think. That was really strange. And that whole thing where J.K. Rowling where J.K. Rowling, I don't want to mispronounce the name, just kept going through that whole series of like, now we gotta try this door, but this door doesn't work, but now I gotta try this door, and this doesn't work. And then they keep having to do that, and they keep having to put markings on it, but the markings go away, and then finally, eventually, after like 6 different doors, then they find the actual door that they are supposed to go through. But like, I would rather not hear about all that, because all of that takes like 2.5 straight pages to read about, and by that time, I've just kind of completely lost interest in the actual point of why they're there to begin with. So yeah, it's acceptable because it's got great character development and a great villain. But if a book doesn't have a good climax, I'm sorry, I just can't vibe with it, you know? Let's see. Next up is going to be Chamber of Secrets, which, just a heads up, is my least favorite book in the entire series, which is why I'm putting it in for the love of the series. And yeah, I think from now on, I'm just gonna take out absolute dog poop, because I might need it in the future, but whatever, it'll just stay empty for this time. Okay, so, let's get through it. Here is like the main reason why I really hate Chamber of Secrets, because the entire book is pretty much completely dependent on plot conveniences, essentially, and yeah, it really just kind of makes me hate the way that Joe is progressing the series. I mean, not the series, the book, and the book's plot as it goes along. Like, for example, how does the I understand how the Flying Fort Anglia engine fails, but how does it just magically end up in the Whomping Willow? And then, also, when they are in the forest and they're talking to Aragog, why does the Fort Anglia just magically come out of nowhere to save them after they just beat the car up in a tree that was swinging branches at it? Wouldn't it be pissed at them? I think so. So yeah, plot convenience. Also, why do the spiders all travel in like groups and then just head out towards Aragog? Why would that? Why is that just the first place they think about? Why is that the first place that they think to go to when they encounter the basilisk? Why is that the first place that they go to? Other plot convenience. Also, why were they crawling out from Hagrid's hut in the first place to allow Harry and Ron to follow them into the Forbidden Forest? The basilisk wasn't ever there to begin with. So why are they there? Because the basilisk travels in the pipes in the school, so why would it be all the way out on the edge of the Forbidden Forest, where obviously it would very clearly get caught there? See, everybody would see it, so there's no reason for it to be there, which is why it wasn't there, which is why the spiders shouldn't be there in the first place, which is why #plot convenience. Okay. And the other thing is Lockhart. I loved Lockhart in the movies. He was kind of like a blubbering idiot, sort of, kind of like a Kevin James, but more likable. But in the book, he kind of just seems overconfident, selfish, narcissistic, all of those things with a very negative connotation. I didn't really like his character that much in the books. And also, he kind of just leaves all of the kids in the hallways while he's supposed to be, as a teacher, guiding them through the hallways safely, just because Harry convinces him that he's better than this, even though you're not, because you took a job as, like, a school teacher, even though you don't know anything that is related to your profession. So yeah, I don't really like him for that. And that is why Chamber of Secrets is going into For the Love of the Series, because I would never ever read this book if it was not part of the Harry Potter series, essentially. Okay, next book we're doing is Deathly Hallows, and I'm going to put it in terrible, yes, but great. Now, hear me out, okay? Number one, here's the reason why it's terrible. Because I'd say 3/4 of the book is just them either going on little adventures that will eventually very slowly end up relating to the end game of the series, and also the other half of that 3/4, which is not spent on little adventures, is spent camping out in the forest with either Ron being a piss off, or Hermione crying, or Harry just thinking about how annoying it is that Ron is being a piss off and Hermione is crying. So yeah, if you guys would like to read that, amazing, because it's in this book, but I would rather not read that so much. So yeah, there are a couple of little inconsistencies with the laws of magic in this book. Number one, the transfiguration law that Hermione said meant that they couldn't conjure food out of thin air. Number one, why wouldn't you just go steal some food, go hunt some fish, go fishing, and hunt some animals, and then just duplicate that stuff a bunch, so that way you never run out of food? And also, Hermione, you're dead wrong, because in the first chapter of the previous book, Cornelius Fudge transfigured 2 glasses of wine out of thin air, and guess what? Dumbledore did the exact same thing a couple chapters later in the exact same book. So please explain that to me, Hermione. But yeah, other than that, it is like a really great book. Just because it brings the series to a close with the Battle of Hogwarts in a really great way. Going through like Harry's perspective, of what's happening in the battle. But then the final battle, when Voldemort is all out of Horcruxes and him and Harry are facing off. That whole build-up was really just for like 2 or so pages of monologue and exposition, which is just telling us pretty much what we already were able to figure out with the rest of the dialogue in the book. And then he just dies. He just falls on the ground. I mean, if that's not the most anticlimactic ending I've ever read to a book, then I don't really know what is. So yeah, it's terrible, but it's great because it finishes out the series. Also, it's great because 19 years later, that was a fantastic ending to the series. Okay, so for the next book in this series that we're gonna do, it'll be Goblet of Fire. And I think I actually finally found a use for absolute dog poop, because I'm gonna put Goblet of Fire in that tier. My reasoning may sound a little bit cheap, maybe a bit of a cop-out, but this is what it is. Essentially, I'm putting it in absolute dog poop, because I racked my brain for like a half hour before making this video, just trying to find reasons why, like, some good things that I could think about the book, but I couldn't really think of any. The only thing I could think of was a theory that I have been working on for quite some time, but that's not actually canon to the book, so I can't really use that. And for that reason, since I can't think of a single good thing to talk about for that book, so I'm just gonna leave it in absolute dog poop. And let's see, for Goblet of Fire, Half-Blood Prince, I'm going to put it into, should I put it into acceptable? No, I'm gonna put it into legendary. And here is the reasoning. Number 1, as I said before, I don't really connect with Lord Voldemort as a villain, but I love him as a character, and I think his backstory is one of the most detailed and just fascinating pieces of lore from the Harry Potter series. That came directly out of the books. I really love it. I thought it was extraordinary. Also, I love it because in the movie, Dumbledore just kind of says that, makes up an excuse for being able to do a bunch of magic inside on the Hogwarts grounds by saying, "Oh, being me has its privileges." But that's not, unfortunately, how magic works, even if you are the greatest wizard of your age. That is unfortunately not how magic works, Dumbledore. And for that, I prefer the book massively. So yeah, I'm putting it in legendary. Also, the love drama took more of a backseat in the books. Also, Bonnie Wright is a great actress. I will 100% agree to that. However, Ginny wasn't that great in the movies. So I prefer Ginny to the in the books than to the movies. Because in the books she's just a lot more of like a strong, independent woman. And I also love the whole Half-Blood Prince thing. With Severus Snape. My favorite character in the entire series is Severus Snape. Also, I feel like I just need to put it in legendary because, I essentially named the channel, the Half-Blood YouTuber, after this book, The Half-Blood Prince. The Half-Blood Prince, is, Snape essentially saying that he is, a half-blood, and I am a half-blood as well, both because my mom, well, I'm Jewish, so my dad is Jewish, my mom is a convert, so technically she would be like a muggle-born wizard, sort of. And also, on the other hand, I'm a Hufflepuff, my dad's a Hufflepuff, my brother's a Hufflepuff, my other brother's a Ravenclaw, uh, my mom's a Ravenclaw, and one of my dogs, Molly, is incredibly smart and intuitive. So I am putting her in Ravenclaw as well. And I created that name before we got the other dog, Cody. So he's not really included in that reasoning because I did it before we got him. But I think he would be a Hufflepuff. So yeah, that's it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any of the 3 C's, comments, constructive criticism, or conversation, please be sure to leave them in the Patronus section down below. As always, make sure to like this video if you liked it, with that thumbs up on the directly below this video. That will help both me and the YouTube algorithm, because when you like a video and enough people like the video, then the YouTube algorithm will see that people like the video, and then they'll take that video and they'll shove it in the faces of other people who also watch the kind of genre of videos that I create, and hopefully they'll like it as well, and then we'll continue to build the community. Also, be sure to subscribe for instant access to more videos, whether it be a Tier Ranking Tuesday video, whether it be a movie moments video, whether it be just me randomly talking about different stuff related to Harry Potter, or my personal favorite, the HBY original Harry Potter theories. And last but not least, please make sure to ring the notification bell that is directly to the right of the subscribe button. And if you click that, you won't have to continuously go into the YouTube app and then check your subscriptions area to see if I post another video, because guess what? YouTube's gonna do exactly that for you, and send you a notification as well. So how cool is that? Anyways, I've got some other work to do, so I will see you guys later. Stay extraordinary. Peace.